That's kind of the biggest thing that's happened. There's, I found, day before yesterday, I found an adapter on one of our hydrants back on Mount Zion Drive. It took our 6-inch connection down to a 4.5-inch connection. Don't know who put that on there. I've talked to Junior. Nobody asked me, you know, to hook up that size of a hose. But Erwin Pledger just happened to be passing by when I was taking it off. He said it's been on there for about a month. So I don't know any other reason that someone stuck an adapter on our hydrant except to use it. So I don't know why they've gone as far as locking the lock pin down on it to hold it on. So I seen your email today, but I haven't got in to look at numbers. But I don't know what's going on there. But it's been taken off, and it's now property of the SSD or the fire department, whoever put it on there. So just want to publicly remind everybody again that those aren't a toy, that those aren't to be accessed by anybody but the fire department and me. Anybody else, of course, needs the permission and needs to have a bulk meter to do that. So if everybody would, if they see anybody getting into the fire hydrants, just a courtesy call to me or Junior would be awesome. Just, hey, I seen someone in. Even if it's something regular that you guys see, and especially if someone's hooked up and doesn't have one of the red bulk meters hooked to it, you know, call Junior and I, and so we can start figuring this out, because our numbers are getting a little better with our meters to pumping ratio, but we're still missing water that I can't figure out. There's a dent in the road that I've been watching over just a little bit before you get to Neil Duncan's house. It's not in line with any of the service meters or where our main line is, but it's like a classical indentation for a water leak. But it started, I noticed it probably about 3 months ago, and it has progressed. So I'm just letting you guys know that. I'll just watch it, and if we start getting, it's not soft at all, but it's a very peculiar hole that is sinking with that. And then, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, appreciate the report. I'm glad to have you back from vacation.
Yeah, that was nice.
Good.
And I appreciate publicly Junior and Harold volunteering the time and covering and making that possible for me. It was awesome. Appreciate it.
Okay, move on to Rod Jones. I wanted to discuss with him and have it as a matter of record. We had some as-built plans that Ensign was supposed to produce and get to us, but it never happened. So we've asked Rod to finish those up because there's a lot of pipes that aren't exactly where they were engineered to be that ended up. Anyway, could you elaborate on that for us?
So I have a good set of the construction documents, and we still have Dell here to tighten it up when memory serves well also. And so we're underway on just getting that as complete as possible. Just as a commentary, I think it's really important we get this thing done. No matter what happens, there is a good record of the system. And I just think that's always wise. So we're underway with that. We have found a few spots where, you know, we'll be interacting a little bit to kind of figure that out. And the other collateral benefit that we get from this is updating the water system model, which we're required to reevaluate every time we bring on additional connections to make sure we can continue the service under state code. And so it's always wise to keep that updated as well. So they go hand in hand. And that model hasn't been updated for a while. So that's going to happen just as a matter of fact, as part of what we're doing.
And talking to the mayor as well about the need for an impact fee and not knowing how much material we already have versus starting from scratch. Could you shed some light on what we would have to do to get a defensible impact fee or study with the material we already have? How far do we have to go from what we have, or?
Well, so we have a water system master plan that will have to be updated a little bit, but certainly we're not starting from scratch. And we have the mapping of the system overall. The as-builting we're doing is specific to the new system here. The rest of the system we feel reasonably good about in terms of our mapping data, and so that segues into that program as well. And then the other piece that becomes really critical is the capital facilities planning, or to say it more concisely, the capital facilities plan. We did some workshops related to that, but we're never able to actually completely reduce those to paper, other than those discussions we had. Some of you remember those. They were open to the public, and a number of folks from the public joined in. There were, I want to say, a couple of 4-hour sessions. We got a lot done in something in the order of 8 hours, where we identified really good locations, primary locations for additional water tanks, additional well production if necessary, transmission pipelines across the corridor. Also tried to relate those to potential transportation corridors. So a lot of that is in concept, but it will be really helpful in terms of putting a capital facilities plan together for the district. So there is quite a bit of information out there that will help with that.
To do a capital facilities study and get it on paper and include a impact fee study, what kind of money are we talking about? I realize this is kind of a bolt out of the blue, but could you give us some kind of a range that you think that would be talking
Yeah, well, I'll
about?
give you a feel for what I've actually done lately, and then segue that into what I think you'd be looking at here. I'm underway with a complete impact fee study update for a neighboring community. But I have a lot of their information going forward, and I have total cooperation. So I have everybody showing up for meetings, getting the information online, and getting that put together. And the total contract for that, it includes roads, storm drain facilities, water system, and I said storm drain? Storm drain, roads, water, sewer, and there's one more, parks. There's 5 elements, and the total fee on that is going to be right around $5K. But keep in mind, it's an update. It's not a start from scratch. The capital facilities plans exist for 3 of those 5 things. And that's a big chunk of the work as well. So that's going to be on the real cheap side, just because we're starting with so much current information. But taken as a whole, we're not that far off on the water system here from that. We're not quantum leaps away from that.
But the concern with is that we have an impact fee study that is getting some age on it.
Yep.
And so to bring our impact fee study up to a defensible position, not including drainage or anything else, just the SSD's reason for living, what were we looking in the $5,000 range for that?
I would say, just conservatively, it's probably double that. It's probably 10K.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we will have to go back and actually codify the capital facilities, which is not on paper right now. And there'll be a bunch of meetings. And a lot depends on how responsive all of that becomes as well. You got a lot of planning to get that all put together. You got to look out really pretty well for 20 years, as you'll recall from these workshops that we did. And there was a lot of contacts to people that owned a bunch of property in the different places to find out sort of what their plans were, and just so that you could get some of the gray mist out of the crystal ball. Because when you get out 20 years, it's tough to it's tough to get that right, and you won't get it 100% right. But it takes a little bit of extra effort that's not actually specific to engineering to get that kind of figured out.
What's the reasonable shelf life of a impact fee study? Say the one that we had done in 2012, I think.
Yeah, so 5 years is, I think, the statutory limits. So we're already past that a little bit. But they base that also on your growth scenarios and all that. But there is a statutory limit, and I think it's 5 years. And I think a lot of the folks that are doing these encourage you to do these every 2 to 3 years. Because what happens is your capital facilities programming changes. You get a project done, you've got to move that from the capital facilities plan into the programming, and you've got to potentially add some other things. So, so just depending on who you are and how quickly you're growing and how fast things are happening, I know a lot of people that do these a lot recommend every couple, 3 years. So we're probably due.
On the edge of it.
I just wanted to say a couple things real quick. The 2012, you got to remember, is a study done prior to even owning the water district for the creation of the water district. And so even then, it was done when we were purchasing or for the purpose of purchasing. And today, not having that updated at all, it makes it very antiquated because of purchasing even of came since then, and
Reasonable point.
And even before owning it, today we know more about what we have than before we bought it. And the other point that I want to make was on the defensible part. Our current town attorney has really encouraged us to engage Lewis and Young in the process of putting this together so it's defensible. And then I like the one word you used earlier on, with significant cooperation. And I've been trying to get copies or information in our office that engineering has been done in the past, and we have no copies of much of anything in the office, and I have been asking for that for months. I know Ben has made some effort to get some of that stuff, and that's where the cooperation would really be handy, because I can't even engage, a decent conversation with anybody without knowing what we even have, because we don't have it. And it would be helpful to
So what
us.
have you found? Because I know the last time I was in the office and the stuff was in the back, all of these studies that I've referred to, with the exception of the capital facilities piece, which again is not on paper, was in those files.
I'll just to correct one thing.
Yeah.
As on the capital facilities, I didn't even know if it existed or didn't exist until right this minute, just so you know.
Yeah.
So then that's what we've been asking those questions of, so just so you have a heads up, but,
Yeah.
anyway, that's kind of our, from the town's side of it, our perspective, that we're been wanting to get this done and feel like we need to get it done.
Yeah.
But we don't have the information to move forward.
Yeah.
It's helpful that whatever we have, that we get it in the office, and so it sounds like it's in books back in boxes someplace.
Well, I don't know, I can jump in and help look for those. I know it's been a while, but I specifically look for a copy of the master plan, the aquifer study, some of the files related to the easements for the water system, and most of that stuff was there.
Okay.
Okay, well, we need to get a work meeting together, Rod, maybe you and I can get some time the next week or so and go through some boxes and see if we can get all this, find out where we're at.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, let's figure this out. It's been long enough.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do it, we just don't, we wanna cheapen this up as much as we can, if we can.
And I want it to have it defensible, and that's,
Yeah.
I feel like that, putting a rubber stamp on what we already have is, what I'm afraid will happen because of, unfortunately, you're tied to Ensign, and Ensign, there's a lot of people who just don't trust Ensign, that I know.
Well,
And
let me get
and I
in
just-
here, Rod is the service district engineer, period.
Well, I get that part, but that doesn't mean that, that's, you know.
Accusations that he's not gonna
No,
treat us
I'm not saying that, anything on that, I'm just saying in the past, that's been the challenge that some of these people have, that come to me, talk about. I'm afraid of a rubber stamp too, but because what we want is to make sure that what we have is defensible when it's all done, that it's accurate. I feel like that you've been pushing back on this for some time because you're afraid the fees are gonna go down. You know, Ben and I talked about this, and we're thinking, if anything, it'll probably go up.
Yeah.
Impact fees will be about $20,000 versus
Probably, and that's why I wanna make sure that whatever we get has some fresh eyes on it, that we have something that's really defensible, because when this thing goes up, we're gonna have people that are pushing back on it. We wanna know that it's not Rod doing you a favor. I think that's taking you guys out of the middle.
Whoa.
No, I'm just.
That's not. I have a professional ethic that I must guard.
No, I get that part.
And I don't do little, that's way out of line. That's-
Well, I'm not trying to
Okay.
suggest that you would
Okay.
do that as much as that there are people that talk to me that feel like that they're afraid of that happening. I don't know.
Well, let's open this can of worms. I've had a lot of people criticize my activities here. Most of those criticisms have come as a result of volunteer work that I have done in addition to the engineering work that I have accomplished. Yes, has it been perfect? There's always room for criticism, all of that kind of stuff. Has it been fair? Has it been reasonable? Has it been ethical? I want somebody to tell me that the answer to that is no, because I cannot believe that, because I know what's been done. I stand by what's been done, and I'm sitting here to do the same tonight, and will always do that as long as I am the professional engaged in the activity. Now, yes, can we have a difference of opinion about how to go about a project? Absolutely.
I'm not worried
No,
about this. I'm
not-
not worried about that. What you and I had a discussion on when I was first put in as mayor was you do work for people that have business before the town. And you reassured me that doesn't happen. Yet, time and time again, we've seen, people from the
That-
water district.
No, you are,
Mainline.
this one is, I can sue on this one. I already have the lawsuit in place because people were saying that I was doing things unethically and inappropriately. I was working for the district.
Calm down.
I'm sorry, I'm getting passionate,
What-
because this is who I am.
What-
This is the essence of my professional
Let's narrow this
service.
down,
Okay.
instead of broad strokes, let's narrow this down a little
Okay.
bit. Like on the Holt LeBaron property, my understanding is.
On the who?
Holt LeBaron
Okay.
project, there was a
Yes.
mainline extension drawn.
Yes, yes,
So you did that work, is that
Yes.
right?
No, you didn't. That's
I
what
did the reviews on that work.
The reviews, yes.
yeah,
and did the
I
reviews.
worked on behalf of the
Who did-
district.
Who did the drawing on that?
Rasmussen.
So Rasmussen did it? Okay.
Rasmussen did the drawing,
So
and his
bad
line is in,
information. I'm getting bad information, and why does that line not go to the property line, or does it?
it does. You can walk down there and look at it. In fact, when this got brought to me, I called Christian and I said, where do you live? He's like, I'm on my second lot. And I said, okay, I just wanted to make sure, because it's coming back to me that we did some screw up on a main line extension. Not true, not even a drop of truth to it.
Okay,
It's
that's
real,
good to
it's
know.
on the ground, you can walk right down there and look at it.
What's good to know, this.
Well, but let me
got
take this
fed back to
on,
me.
let me just take this on for just a second. Instead of calling the people that might be able to tell you what precisely is going on, you hear that something went wrong, and it's all over town that Rod Mills, the engineer, screwed this up because he had a conflict of interest. It's absolutely unequivocally not true.
Calm down.
Okay.
Calm down.
All right.
So what I did was, what I did with the information is I went to Harold Barrett and asked him about it. And
Yeah.
asked him to get back with me.
Okay.
And this is today, he hasn't gotten back with me.
Well, we're
And so
finding
this
out
is-
right
And
now.
so now I'm finding out from Dale that, oh no, he didn't draw it, Rod just reviewed it. And this is what I'm hearing. And-
But the
and
point
it's-
is, I have drawn some of them. And it is not a conflict of interest.
Well, if you're
The
having-
stuff that I was accused of by someone else that isn't in this room right now is absolutely actionable. Absolutely actionable. They were 100% wrong. Their facts were completely wrong. And it's a matter of public record what they put in fact. And so it's actionable. I can go back to the public record and look at every single line of information that was said, and you just keep bringing it back as an issue.
Bringing it back, this is the first time I brought this up.
No, this is not the first time. I've heard it numerous
Well, I've
times.
heard, let me go to another one. I've
Yes.
heard from Gooseberry Mesa that they've
Yes.
hired you to do their, design work up there.
Yeah, I'm doing some of their design work.
So who's gonna do that review then? Because we
We've
have.
made arrangements for an outside party to do those reviews.
Okay, but this is an example.
That's
of what I'm
been,
talking about.
that was a couple of
This-
years ago,
And this is
Mayor.
still what I was talking about, when
Yes.
I asked you right up front, way back when, that's a year ago,
Right.
almost, that I asked you, are you doing work for the people that have business before us, or are you working for the district? And it just seems, that when you're doing work, you're soliciting work for Gooseberry Mesa to do this work, when you're also working for the district, that there is that
See,
conflict.
you keep bringing this up. How did I get involved in the Gooseberry Mesa project?
Because you're.
This is a matter of public record. We have explained this multiple times. Multiple times. How did I? Do you remember what the public record explanation was?
Probably from meetings that we've had with them.
Okay,
That's
no,
what
no,
I
no.
will say.
Do you remember how I got involved?
No.
You don't?
Other than your relationship to the water district and.
Okay, okay, so the numerous meetings that we've had to discuss this kind of situation, you don't remember how I got involved? Even though it's a matter of public record.
Numerous meetings.
Numerous meetings.
You don't want
Numerous
to,
meetings.
Why don't you enlighten me? Sounds like you're gonna.
Okay,
right
I-
now. So why don't you school me, tell me what it is, and, you know.
I was asked by the water district to get involved in that project. I did it on behalf of the water district. Since that time, there has been additional opportunity to do work specifically for that client, and I have totally disclosed all of those activities every time I've been asked. Every time. I have said, I am working for those folks on various issues, and I can tell you the specifics of it. And the district has always been aware of my involvement with that. And quite frankly, I think it has worked to the advantage of the water district. You guys can be the judge of that because you are the controlling board. And I'm happy to put my efforts on that project or any other ones to the scrutiny of the board, and let's figure it out, and let's see what we did, and let's see how we did it.
Gentlemen, I think this has gone far enough. I didn't anticipate this sort of interaction.
I'm sorry.
Mayor, if you have some issues like this, we could do it behind closed doors. As
Well,
far
it's-
as the other one,
I'll bring it up that I suggested that you and I, with Rod, could sit down and go over this behind closed doors when I brought this up to you. I said, I'm happy to sit down with you and Rod, and we could do this. I'm not trying to get this you know, a YouTube moment or anything like that. I just said that we could sit down. You opted to bring it up here.
I asked Rod about impact fees, and we're off in the tall grass now. Let's get back to this other one that I asked Dale about, if the line went to the property line, and if he would check it out. He did, and I was going to report that tonight, and Dale
Well, it's good to
looked
know.
at, so let's,
This is back to that same person you and I are thinking of that's certain stuff, so
Well,
my apologies.
thank you. Thank you for that.
Marty, can I ask a favor?
Yeah.
If you ever got any questions about what goes on with the water, you know what my number is? And I'm always here to help, that's what I'm here for. And these guys will agree too, there's no one that knows more about what goes on with this water system than me.
Yeah.
And so if you want the short skinny, you just call me and I will give you the short skinny just like that every time.
Sounds good.
I believe we should be a team,
We've got
folks.
we've got a permit that's going on, and someone was complaining that extension had to go clear into the whole property, that didn't go to their property line.
No, if you go down there and look, in fact, it actually goes 6 feet past the property line because there's a 6-foot stub on the
We're
end.
talking about the second lot for the holes, right?
No, they're on their second lot. So that's where that line goes to, is the very end of their 10 acres. That goes all the
Yeah,
way,
right.
that goes all the way.
So it goes
and
to
then-
the end of their second.
Exactly, and so that guy will just hook up, there's a valve there ready for him and everything with a 6-foot stub on it. It's all valved out, so we don't have to shut anybody off. All he's got to do is connect into that. And he's
Well,
on
it's good
his way.
information, thank you.
okay, moving on. I want to apologize to Rod for the unexpected,
Oh, good, I heard that too.
okay.
Cocktails?
Just since we're in it, just to make a statement is that the service district's concerned about a defensible impact fee for the service district, not for the town and their drainage and everything else. And so when it comes down to getting an impact fee that's defensible, the service district will take care of that on its own. Is capable of taking care of that and not getting bogged down into a bigger financial issue.
If I may, and I'm calm. There's more than one person in the world that can do a defensible impact fee study. There's quite a number of us, and I get that. I get where Sean is at on all of that, and attorneys are paid to make things bulletproof, and I get that. But the legislation on how to write an impact fee study is very clear. It's pretty concise. There's not a lot of gaps. There's not a lot of freeboard. There's not a lot of space. You either do it that way or you don't. And I would even say it's probably wise for the district, regardless of who might do this, to have somebody take a look at it. To have maybe a water attorney spend, I don't know, $500 or something reviewing the thing and give you a second opinion about whether your fees are defensible or not. The other thing that I would add, just from my own experience, this is just me talking, each individual entity that is engaging in these kinds of activities has to consider the financial consequences of what they're doing. Meaning, if I'm going to spend, let's say, $50,000 doing an impact fee study for this water district, and the shelf life of that is 2 years, and we don't anticipate that we will collect something well in excess of $50,000 over those 2 years in those same impact fees, my recommendation changes completely. And it says, don't do it at all. And legally, don't charge the darn fees. Save your money up front, save the $50 up front, put it back in the bank and spend that instead of 50 hoping to get the other 50 that ain't coming. That's the real story, and I think each individual entity has to look at that part of it. It's great to have a great, wonderful impact fee study. Everybody would love to do that. But even the legislature recognizes that not everyone can afford the exact same impact fee study as another. And there are stipulations for that. I can go through case law as well that pushes against that, because there have been some little towns that did a little one and got beat up. So we're still moving towards everything that the legislature has put into the program as the right way to go about it, and it is increasing the cost of these studies. 2 years ago, I was doing them for $2,000.
Well, it's obviously a situation we've got to sit down and discuss this, so
Yeah.
let's move on.
Yeah.
from here.
I'd like to make one statement, if you don't mind. One of the keys here, I think, is the water company and the town does not want to share information for some reason. If we share more information, we wouldn't be sitting here like we're talking right now, and Rob wouldn't be upset. What does it take to sit down and share information with people? Not very damn much. You know, you got a
Seems like
concern
we're
about-
sharing it now.
Hey, wait a minute, hey, I'm concerned about this, or Dale's got a concern, hey, I'm concerned about this, or one of us have a concern. And same with the town council, if they got a concern, they should just share information. We're just kind of bucking heads, and it's creating more problems than we need. Let's start sitting down and sharing information with each other, and there won't be this problem.
Well, okay, may I, it's gonna be another liberty.
Okay.
Are you okay?
As long as you're nice.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to manage, okay? Well, so, there was some questions on water rights, which is actually a topic for discussion that I wanted to report on tonight. You know, I needed to run everybody up the learning curve on some of the complexities of the banking arrangements, some of what was going on, because we had the access funding people barking at our heels. I came in, I gave what I thought was a really decent data dump about what was going on with that. What I got back was, this thing is so screwed up that we can't even imagine how we got here. And it was all over town. I'm getting a hamburger at the gas station, and I'm hearing this 15th hand or 20th hand, that this is just a nightmare. This is up in the night. We have no idea how we got here. Well, I'm here to tell you that is not the case with that piece either. I have spent an additional amount of time recently, and I'm using this as an example, because this is where the communication gets into trouble. I come in, try to dump everything I possibly can in terms of information. What comes flying back to me is, you idiot, how could you possibly have screwed up this bad? And I'm looking around for the shotgun, you know? And so am I encouraged? As you just articulated, it's my predisposition. I think most of you know me well enough. I can shoot my mouth off pretty dang well. And I can tell you a lot more than you ever wanted to know about the topics that I think I know something about, to the point where you'll be bored to tears. I've not very often been accused of holding information back. It's just not my demeanor. But this is tough. I'm with you.
Well, I'm saying
This
all
is
of us,
tough.
not just you.
Yeah.
If you recall, in the original negotiations for the water shares, we
Yeah.
had a lot of water shares.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all these people own all these water shares. We weren't told that originally,
Yeah.
were we? No,
Yeah.
we weren't.
No.
When we negotiated with Roger, their attorney, and the water people that own the water, we weren't told that other people owned all these water shares. So all of a sudden, now those people looking and they say, wait a minute,
Yeah.
how come all of a sudden we lose 800 and some water shares?
Right. No, the information associated with the water banking agreement was documented in the water banking agreement. And the stipulations for who owned the water were in there. and they voluntarily agreed to put it into our bank. And at some point, frankly, completely against my normal sense of what makes sense, they wanted a bunch of it back. It's gonna come back to us. They can't move it out of the basin. And frankly, they've done a disservice to themselves and to all of us as well. But I guess they had to learn that lesson. But the water bank was never intended to be a prison. It was never intended to hold people's water shares hostage. And so when they wanted it back, we started stepping forward to give it back. And that's always been our
I
position.
know, but originally, if you recall, that when we made that agreement.
Yeah.
We held the shares in the water bank. If somebody come in and wanted to buy water, we could sell
Right.
that share, but the money went to the holder.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
So we were still holding the water,
Yes.
and we wasn't holding it captive. If we
Right.
sold it to a developer,
Right.
that money went to, at $4,000 a share.
Right. And what happened was there just wasn't enough of that kind of activity going on for the access funding people to think that we were acting in good faith. And the folks on that side convinced themselves that there was something going on that wasn't going on. We just haven't moved a lot of water rights under that agreement. Having said that, there have been some errors on the part of some of those folks in terms of preserving some of the water rights that should still be in our possession. It's not 800, it's a few, and we are in negotiations to get those. Yeah, but that's an example, and I guess that hopefully gave some education as to where I think the situation is at, in addition to pointing out what the challenges are with some of this communication.
Well, it is to me, because I see the
I
difference in
spent-
what we had and what we didn't have, but
Yeah.
then when somebody sees
Yeah.
this number, then all of a sudden the number
Yeah.
is this, they start thinking, wait a minute,
Right.
what's going on?
Yeah.
Without asking questions, and
Right,
trying to get the right answer.
Right.
And they may not like the answer, but at least they
Right.
get the right answer.
right. Well, so what I know about that particular experience is I spent, rough order of magnitude, a decent chunk of the next 2 weeks trying to figure out why everybody and their dog thought that this entire water right situation was a complete and total disaster. On my own time, I might add.
I hope so.
Yeah, on my own. Well, you know, you can say it that way if you
I'm just
wish.
joking.
Thank you,
Um,
Ron, thank you.
But we have, it's not a perfect situation. There are some things that need to get fixed. There was some basic misunderstanding about how the water bank was going to operate within the system on the part of more than one person that needs to get taken care of. And unfortunately, some of that asset has left the bank. But I'm actually working with the same guys that put some of that back in because I think they're learning their lesson.
Oh.
It's interesting. I'm sorry, one more. May I?
Sure, certainly.
So, you all know who Curtis Gubler is, right?
Oh.
So the irony to this entire water rights thing, and this is the greatest story. I need to write a book about this at some point. But you know, we're at odds with Curtis, and he's done this and that and the other, and nothing's been documented, and this is the problem. And our agreement to purchase those companies was really far more cumbersome than it needed to be because of his sort of meddling and intervention, if you will. And it was just the way he was doing things and all of that. Well, so about a year ago, he calls up and says, I've still got some water rights hanging out in Apple Valley. Can you put them into the water bank and preserve those for me? And guess what? We did. He has 2 acre-feet of water rights in our water bank that are under title deed possession of the water district, but are obligated also back to him. And that's what the water bank does. But I thought that was just an extraordinary story.
Well, Rod, appreciate your enlightening and I think the point's taken, that we need to have better communication, and we could carry this discussion on for a long time, but I think we need to pass through it at this point. So thank you one and all. We'll go on to item number 3, the discussion and adoption of rules and regulations for personal use of public property policy, resolution BPW 2019-04, and the resolution was sent to us, if I'm not mistaken, by the Grand Bidder, and it was sent as a rule and regulation to be adopted. So I'll read the purpose of this. Rules and regulations for personal use of public property. This shall be known as the Big Plains Water and Sewer Special Service District, or District, Personal Use of Public Property Policy, or the policy. It has been adopted for the purpose of regulating the use of district-owned, leased, held, operated, or managed equipment, vehicles, office supplies, devices, tools, facilities, or other district-owned personal or real property. So this policy will go into place to regulate the use of a district property by a person for their personal use. It's online, you can read it and see what it says, but basically it says that if it belongs to the district, if you're going to use it for personal use, you need to have it approved by, if it be town property, by the mayor or somebody he delegates, or district, myself, or somebody I delegate. But as a general rule, and the exceptions should be rare, that if it belongs to the service district, it should be used for service district work only. And that's what the policy is, so.
Mr. Chairman,
any discussion on that?
I've read it, I think we've all read it.
Have you read it, Mark?
I'd make a motion that we adopt
A second?
resolution BPW 2019-04.
A second.
Vote.
Aye.
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 Resolution is adopted. The Cook and Jessup Wells, Ross, do you have anything on?
Well, we're struggling to get the data off of the Cook well. I think we're gonna have to bring that next meeting. Although just, ballpark, I think we're probably about 12 to 15,000 on Cook and quite a bit less on the Jessup. Dale and I are gonna go up there and evaluate the freeze drive on that. I don't think we have to buy a freeze drive for the Jessup well.
Right.
So we're gonna go up next week, we'll get that, so let's have that for next week.
Do we have bids out right now for doing that for 3 different bids?
We will.
Oh, you haven't sent them out yet, you're still
No,
looking at it? Oh.
I can't get the data on the
Oh,
head
okay.
and all that, and the size of the
All
tunnel,
right.
so, anyway.
Yeah, the wells are still, the Jessup well is still working. The Cook well got hit with lightning.
Yeah.
And part of the process is that some of them are single phase,
Mhm.
and we're trying to convert everything to 3-phase. And so if at some point we put in a generator that's mobile, we can go to every pump in the district and plug it in and have the pump take off with the single phase and 3-phase. And so all of those conversions are taking place when we put new pumps in.
Do we have any insurance on any of that kind of stuff, or just Mother Nature and forget it? We take care of it ourselves.
When we update it, we'll put lightning arresters and things like that on there.
Good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you don't mind if I chime in, this project work is being funded through the escrow account. And we received notice from the Division of Drinking Water earlier this week that reimbursement for those funds is required to be in by November 8th, is the deadline for it. I can call, it sounds like we're gonna get tight on that. I can call Michael Grange this week. I don't have any experience with it. If they're flexible on those dates, maybe somebody else who's worked with this would know better than I. But I can call him and ask if there's extensions available
Let me
on
make,
those timeframes.
make a note on that, and we'll talk to these well drillers and tell them they've gotta put a giddy-up go on this, and we might be able to beat the deadline without having to address it.
Mr. Chairman, it's, as far as getting it put together and bid out, that's not a big deal, we just need information, so. You wanna try?
Yeah, I've actually, since the last meeting, I've actually left 5 messages.
Okay.
November.
If I need to, I'll drive to Cedar.
2 times with the human being and 3 on his voicemail.
Yeah, okay. I'll commit to having the bid ready for the next meeting for the bid, so we can send out the 3 bids. Okay?
Okay, and if we can get them sooner, what we could do is send them out immediately and get the bids, and then have the bids here to accept at the next meeting.
Okay, okay. Let's see if we can get
Yeah.
So we could finalize the paperwork on the first part of October and give them,
Yep.
and tell them that it's gotta be a 2-week job or the bank's closed.
Yeah, we can meet that deadline.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll go on to consent calendar. I've looked at it, and,
How about your container delivery thing?
who, what?
I
Excuse me.
I figured you was hiding stuff out in that container, you didn't want to talk about it.
We've got it full of air right now.
It's that paperwork.
Okay, that wasn't super
To
funny.
fill in on this, there are 2 reasons for the container. We have a four-wheeler to get up and down to the springs that's been weathering, when we gotta get inside. Plus, we bought a whole bunch of material with the springs that the Webb family have in a storage building. And they said, we'll get it out in a couple of months so we can use this building. Well, it's been long past 2 months, so he was starting to throw it out under the trees.
Is it cheaper to buy a container than it is just to build this little building, or?
Now, the container's on the ground.
Oh, it's already down.
So that was what I was gonna do, is report.
That's
that
a little
it's-
more secure
than the
it's
building.
here.
Yeah, and it's leak proof and all that good stuff?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wind and water tight.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 40-foot one. It's heavy, I know that much.
And it came off manually. Came off, I got a picture of him on a jacking that thing up off the back of the, yeah, thanks Ross. That was an adventure. These guys taught me stuff that day, that's for sure. We got that done.
You jack it up on the handyman, and then you shove the jack
The
over
shove
the
it.
hose bang, and then you do it
Yeah, and then
again.
you gotta do it, get the handyman out from underneath it.
Yeah, well, there's a handyman. Anyway, the report on the container is it's on the ground and done, and we're gonna fill it up with material, and we're on our way. Consent calendar, any comments on that? That would make motion that we accept the consent calendar. Vote?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the minutes, I've read those online. I'll make a motion that we.
I have one little correction on the minutes.
Vote.
Michelle, under the bids for Cook and Jessup well, the 3rd line down there, these are single-phase pumps, just spelling S-I-N, well, you know how to spell single. Okay, and in Cedar Point, it'll be a 3-phase pump. Do we want to define that that's the Cook well in Cedar Point? Does that matter?
Yeah, we probably should.
So be Cook well in Cedar
Yeah,
Point?
the Cook well in Cedar Point.
With an E.
Other than that, I make a motion to accept that.
Okay, anybody else have anything on that? No? Okay. You make a motion, I second it. Vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next, item on the agenda is, adjournment.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Man,
You
just triggered something.
I'm
curious, how much did the,
Yes, we
Michael?
reimbursed you for
Okay, because Ensign told me very explicitly in a bad moment between us that they would not, that they would block any of our sending information.
Do they have that kind of power?
They have a contract. I thought this money was in escrow for the district. But you still have to get it out through the process.
They still have to approve the reimbursement.
Okay, I did not understand that. Because Curtis said that to me, said, over my dead body kind of stuff. And I'm like, let's go see, and I did not, I interpreted that it's in escrow in our account as it's our money, but I'm not an account.
Yeah.
But see, we still have to go through the approval.
Talked to him was that
Oh, gosh.
A lot of these water questions are
We
really.
may have some kissing up.
There's some headshots, so anybody that's wanting to.
Yeah, yeah. When we